The moment you decide to do something differently or make a new choice, what most people don't want to face is that discomfort.
Welcome back to Be Uplifted. Today, Dr. Joe Dispenza will be breaking down his tips and tricks on how you can begin to manifest the things you want in your life. Manifesting is the act of bringing something into your reality through the power of your thoughts and beliefs. Most people try to do this on a daily basis, but end up in frustration and begin right back where they started yesterday. Today you have come to the right place, where Dr. Joe will break down exactly what you need to do to effectively maximize the power of manifestation and reach your specific goals and desires today.
If you want to create a new life, you got to change your personality, which means you better start thinking about what you've been thinking about and changing it. You begin to become conscious of your unconscious actions or habits or behaviors and modify them. I think we've been hypnotized and conditioned into becoming materialists. I think that we define reality with our senses, and I think that is one of the biggest illusions. So the fundamental question is, can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain has literally changed to look like the event has already occurred? Now, the latest research in plasticity says that's absolutely possible. And can you select a new possibility in the quantum field and begin to emotionally embrace that future every single day to such a degree that your body, as the unconscious mind, the objective mind, does not know the difference between the experience in your life that's creating the emotion and the emotion that you're fabricating by thought alone, to the degree that you begin to signal new genes and new ways to change your body to look like the experience has already happened. Now think about this. Every day, installing the circuitry, every day conditioning the body into the emotion of the future, that your body begins to change to look like it's already happened. Now, this is where it gets fun. So then people who come out of their meditation and they say, well, I just focused on my wealth, why isn't it there? Well, you're not that good. If you're asking why isn't it there, you're back to the old person again. Stay in that state for an extended period of time as the scientist in your life to keep your energy connected to the dream of your future without moving into impatience, without moving into frustration, without starting to analyze why it hasn't happened or when. That is the trap of defining reality with your senses. So you have the thought of your future and you don't see it, then you experience separation. But people who are practicing this work, they have the thought of their future and they feel the emotion of their future. They're still connected to it, right? So that takes practice. The unknown is a scary place. So many people begin to self-regulate. Like, oh, I'm starting to feel a little anxiety. Ooh, I'm starting to feel a little frustration. That's the defining moment where your body's going back to the past, because emotions are a record of the past. Or you go into routine again. So you catch yourself. It's a victory. And if you keep catching yourself, those victories add up. And it's not so much about your wealth or your health or your freedom or your new relationship. And then you have different circuits in your brain that are connected to every person in your life, every object that you can recognize, every place you've been. If it's known, you have circuitry in your brain to reflect your environment. When people are living in stress, and stress, again, is when the brain and body are knocked out of balance, the arousal of those chemicals causes us to try to control and predict everything in our life. So we begin to shift our attention from one person to another problem, to another thing, to another object, to another meeting, to another place. And as you start to activate these circuits in your brain that are associated with all of those elements, the arousal of the stress hormones causes these different compartments to fire like a lightning storm in the clouds. The brain is firing very incoherently. And when the brain is incoherent, we're incoherent. And when the brain isn't working right, we're not working right. And people get stuck in these aroused states. That imbalanced brain is looking for immediate gratification or something to take away a feeling, a disturbance. There's a wave effect. And when the heart starts beating coherently, it begins to produce a measurable magnetic field that's up to 3 meters wide. Your heart is electric. And that frequency carries information. You can lay the thought of your future, of your wealth, of your health on that frequency. The frequency of suffering can't carry the thought of your wealth. It carries the thoughts of suffering. So then Energy has to make it to our heart for us to begin to create. So then, if a person is living in survival and an addict to those emotions, living in the stress response all of the time, and the rush of adrenaline becomes their source of energy, then you got to teach that person how to break that addiction. And just like any addiction, the body's going to have cravings. To meditate, it means to become familiar with. So as you become familiar with those thoughts, you become conscious of how you speak, you become aware of how you act, you notice how you're feeling. The more conscious you become of those unconscious programs, the less unconscious you'll go in your waking day. Why? Because it's not enough to just have a great meditation and get up and get on the freeway and get in traffic and getting stressed. You just return back to the old self again. Our job then is to sustain that modified state of mind and body the entire day. And if you can, get ready, because something different or unusual is going to begin to happen in your life, and it will come as a coincidence or a synchronicity. And that's breadcrumbs from the divine saying you're on the path. Just keep doing it. There'll be another one. Just keep staying in that energy. You're always emitting information. Everything physical is always emitting information. If you're animated with life, you're emitting energy and information. So what most people do is they say, I want the new house, the new car, the new relationship, I want a big bank account, I want my private jet, they do all that stuff. And then they visualize that, but when they visualize it, they never get in touch with how it would feel if it happened. In fact, they're hypnotized and conditioned into feeling the emotion when it happens. So they may do a little meditation or a little whatever, and they open their eyes and their senses say it's not there. So what do? They experience more lack, more separation. So when you're feeling lack and separation, you try harder. And now they try matter to matter to try to produce the outcome because they're feeling separate from their future. So when there's a vibrational match between your energy and it's synchronized with some potential in the quantum field, now you no longer have to go anywhere to get it. Because you're connected to the field, you're going to begin to draw events or experience to you. And they're going to come in a way that you cannot predict. Because if you can predict them or anticipate them, they're nothing new. They have to surprise you. That's the unknown, right? And that's the fun part, because the brain learns by mistakes and surprises. Why not a few surprises? When that event lands in your lap and it comes out of nowhere, you will look back at all the betrayals, all the traumas, all the things that happened in your past, and you will not want to change one thing in your past because it brought you to that moment. And that's the moment the past no longer exists. So people are healing from their pasts in a lot of ways when they do this work. And the side effect of all of this is they feel so whole, so happy with themselves, they no longer want anything. Like all the things they want, they don't really want the house. They're happy with themselves.